It is already late April of 2025, and the Blue Origin spaceflight backlash is seemingly showing no signs of going away anytime soon, not just for Katy Perry, but also for Gayle King, Jeff Bezos, his fiancé, everyone that took part in this overall spaceflight. We know that there's a lot of backlash going along, not just with Katy Perry, but also with her entire team. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we know that those out there like Jeff Bezos, Gayle King, and even Katy Perry, they are still on the damage control train, really trying to water down the backlash, really trying to tame the criticism as we speak, and it is working to no avail. We know that Katy Perry is trying to do everything in her power to really keep her career in check, regardless of the fact that she's dealing with a lot of ticket sales, really just, well, not selling for her Lifetimes tour that's going on from now all the way until December, I believe, until this year. Now, what's interesting here has a lot more to do with how Katy Perry is not just going against the critics, but also is going against her very own fans that are leaving her, that are abandoning ship, that want nothing to do with her anymore, surprisingly. And that just goes to show you how once loyal supporters of Katy Perry are even seeing through her phoniness, her fakeness, and everything else that came along with that publicity stunt associated with Blue Origin, because let's be real, that's all it really was, a publicity stunt. Now, let's get into the overall details about this. Now, what's interesting here about Katy Perry is that we already know that she truly knows exactly what's going on here with the overall situation associated with Jeff Bezos, associated with Blue Origin and everything that came along with it, and how it is already impacting her career. Now, she was already dealing with ticket sale issues beforehand, but now it's actually getting even worse. So, with the Katy Perry drama showing no signs of going away anytime soon, ever since she took part in the Blue Origin spaceflight, one significant development going on now involves how Katy Perry is not only dealing with critics, but is also dealing with her own fans walking away from her and are no longer supporting her after the glorified publicity stunt was broadcast on live television. Now, one crucial update to this entire thing, after Perry lost fans, is her most recent tirade and how she decided to respond after losing fans over the spaceflight. Perry delivered the following in a desperate move to win back her very own fans. It's one thing to have critics for sure, but it's another thing to have your own loyal followers question not just the flight that we took up to space, but to also use that as a reason to no longer support someone. And I find that to be so wildly offensive and disheartening to everyone that supported me over the years that are falling for this narrative that this was some kind of a publicity stunt. Let me just be clear that we did the very same thing that so many other astronauts have done over the years. We went to space, but we just didn't go to space. We went to space as an all-female group, and we had to televise this historic event. You can call it what you want, but don't go calling it a publicity stunt. When I heard that criticism of our flight was not just limited to regular critics, but even those that have supported me over the years, I said to myself, is this the world now? Is this what it has come to? I risked my life going up there, and it's exactly why when I came back down that I decided to kiss the earth, because I truly thought that there was a 50-50 chance that I wouldn't even make it back. Things happen all the time with these rockets, you know? So I was very courageous. All the wonderful women on board were courageous and deserve the recognition that we, of course, really should have. We just aren't getting that right recognition right now, and it's quite frankly devastating. This should have nothing to do with my career or those that follow my work. If you want to question our flight, that's one thing, but to call a publicity stunt, that's another thing. That is something that as a woman offends me. Now guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about Katy Perry here is that she is obviously and seemingly becoming more and more bitter as time moves on, especially after Wendy's called her out. We all remember how Wendy's said, "Can we send her back?" That was an excellent marketing move, by the way. They are actually getting a lot of people going to their restaurants, to their fast food chains as we speak, because of that one little comment on social media, on Twitter/X, that went viral. And even Katy Perry and her own team, they're trying to actually go against that. They're trying to force Wendy's to apologize. They're trying to actually force them to actually reverse that overall comment, delete that comment on social media, and that is also not working. Katy Perry and her team obviously now have a lot of beef with, chains out there like Wendy's, for example. And that's exactly why the backlash is just not going away, because they're trying to fight against this thing. They're trying to basically make the backlash disappear, trying to make it vanish like that, and that's only making it worse. That makes you sound very desperate, it makes you look very desperate, and that shows a lot of weakness there. Now, she goes on to conclude further, if you want to question our flight, that's another thing. However, I am just thrilled from my Lifetimes tour, and it's just absolutely horrible that there are those out there that have supported me over the years that are questioning my career now as a result. It's not right, and I think women deserve better, especially those in the music industry that try to do something historical for the American people. I think people should spend less time questioning the things that women like us decide to do for the people on this beautiful earth, and should instead realize that what we did was for the greater good. Again, there she goes again. She really wants all the attention on her, obviously. The other thing that I found to be very odd is the fact that she's comparing herself to astronauts. Notice how she says that what we did is the same exact thing that many astronauts have done over the past couple of years, or over the past decades, I should say. It is nothing near close to what astronauts have done. She, number one, did not spend months upon months in space. All they really did was go into low orbit for a couple of minutes and came back down to, the ground. That's essentially what it was. It was really like a glorified theme park ride is what everyone's comparing it to, and it's kind of, accurate there. They went up and they came down. And they looked into the camera on board more than they did looking out the window. I think was another telltale that this was, yes, indeed, a publicity stunt. The fact that she has to challenge those statements that many people are making that this was a publicity stunt, I think it just shows you that they know exactly what they were doing. They know it's a publicity stunt. They're trying to challenge that. They're trying to actually get rid of the backlash as much as possible, and it's not working. It's not working at all to any degree. And Katy Perry obviously is making things worse because she's trying to drag the whole Blue Origin spaceflight into her own concerts. That's exactly why in between songs at some of her concerts, she does plan to actually reveal never-before-told stories about her experience going up to space and showing exclusive footage of her training, quote-unquote, and preparing for the flight for her overall Lifetimes tour. And again, I think it's going to backfire. We're going to have a lot more to talk about this in the coming weeks and months. I think that Katy Perry is only going to make things worse as time rolls by. But she goes on to allude further, to truly advance society, we accomplished something that should have been done decades ago, and it's something that has been wrongfully criticized, and something that should belong in the history books. So again, there she goes. She's really trying to make herself sound a lot more important than what she really is. This really was no major accomplishment. They didn't even go into true space. Let's be very real about this. They went into low orbit, like I brought up before, and for only like 10.5 to 11 minutes long. The fact that she's trying to go on a lot of podcasts now, she's trying to actually partner up with Meghan Markle for her With Love Meghan series to stay in the limelight, to talk more about Blue Origin. I think it is very revealing that this is nothing more than an attention-seeking moment for her. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.